My name is Jeff Morgan. I am from Dallas, Texas, and I am going to, in this video, give some advice to Michell Smith. For those people who don't know, Michell Smith is the campaign director for Attorney General Ken Paxton in this upcoming election. She's worked with the Paxtons in the past. Michelle and I used to be friends. Back in 2012, we worked on the Santorum campaign together. I actually wrote a letter on her behalf to help her get a position within the Santorum campaign. When she was on city council and she needed some backups, I was one of the people that she called upon at various times, maybe just once or twice. But Michelle actually knew who I was quite well. But something happened in about 2015, 2016, where Michelle chose to block me on Facebook and defriend me and all sorts of things like that. And it happened to come down because we were talking about the issue of child support, and the Attorney General actually talking about how they had a new weapon in their arsenal against parents who were not paying child support. I thought the whole practice was insane, and I invited Michell Smith on. Michell Smith did not like what I was saying, did not like the way others people were saying it, and she had to defend the office of the Attorney General, and so she actually defriended me over that scenario. Now recently at CPAC in July of 2021 down in Dallas, Dad Talk Today interviewed Attorney General Ken Paxton, and I've known Ken Paxton for maybe 8 years, 9 years, something like that. I mean, every year it still comes up, you know, your friend anniversary with Ken Paxton. Know his wife Angela. Think they're good people and everything. I am very thankful that Ken Paxton has been in there suing the federal government. I think he needs to do that. But I have been critical at times over some of the practices of the Office of the Attorney General. The one area that I think he has failed on, or that his office has failed on, has been when it comes down to the issue of family court. And it was about 4 or 5 years ago that actually we were asked to go down and speak in front of him regarding access to children and child support and issues like that. This was not an issue that I had any concern with, that I had any dealing with, but I did actually do something for some friends, and for some reason I got considered to be the leader of the movement. And when I spoke with Attorney General Paxton, would he meet with non-custodial parents because of the abusive practices of the Child Support Enforcement Department, he directed me to Michell Smith, and Michell Smith had to give me your card, and I put out a video, told people to contact Michell Smith, email Michell Smith. Michell Smith got very upset that I put it out, but I was strictly following General Paxton's orders. Anyway, it was brought to my attention recently on the Americans for Parental Equality page. Mr. Josh Jaros was talking about his time in court and something that took place there. He did about a 4-minute and 30-second video, 4 minutes 31 seconds. But I noticed as I was looking at it that there were comments by Michell Smith. And I would like to say to Michell Smith, it's foolish to give an answer before you actually listen to what's being said. And I'm going to talk about this. And by the way, Michelle, you should know that Proverbs 18 verse 13 says, spouting off before listening to the facts is both shameful and foolish. And if you want to look at a different version, that also says it is stupid and embarrassing to give an answer before you listen. So Michell Smith, my advice to you is that you need to actually listen before you give advice, because sometimes the advice that you give and the things that you say are actually hurting your cause. They are embarrassing, they are stupid, and it's shameful and foolish. This is what the Bible says. Anyway, so in the video that Josh Jaros was doing at the 03 seconds, Michell Smith is telling Josh that he needs to be truthful. You need to be truthful, Josh. I was surprised to see that. I know Josh. Now, Josh and I have had very strong conversations, as people are aware. Josh is still a friend as far as I'm concerned. We've had some very, very pointed conversations. That's okay. We get along still. But she's telling Josh that he needs to be truthful, as if somehow Josh is lying about what took place. Now, I think that if you take a look at the video that I put up regarding the hearing that took place, and Michell Smith, I invite you to take a look at that too. The video is an accurate portrayal of what took place. And I think that Mr. Jaros had very legitimate reasons for saying what he did. And I think for you to possibly insinuate that he was lying or not telling the truth or being less than honest, perhaps you need to reconsider, perhaps you need to listen before giving an answer, because it is foolish to give an answer before you listen. And as you go through the video, Josh started saying that he and his ex-wife had been getting along, and they had a hearing this morning, and at 32 seconds, 0.32, I respect Josh, but this is not factual to what happened this morning. Respectfully, not at all.
We're getting along great. We've been doing this for over a year. We wanted to make this official.
Now, I was actually sitting in on that hearing, so I got to witness it in person. And again, if you take a look at my YouTube channel, the video is out there. So I would want to ask Michell Smith, what is it that was not factual? Because I was there, I listened to what Josh said, and I thought that what he was saying was factual. At least it was plausible in the areas that he gave his opinion. And you had a responsibility not to bash him as being somehow dishonest, but to listen and to investigate. And Michelle, let me give another piece of advice to you. We know that at the Office of the Attorney General, the Child Support Enforcement Division has over 2,600 people. We understand that you cannot patrol all of them. We also understand that Governor Abbott, when he was the Attorney General for the state of Texas, he hired a lot of Democrats in those positions, people that you might want to get rid of, but that you just can't get rid of. We understand that. But don't defend the indefensible, and don't start accusing people of lying or being less than honest or possibly shading the truth. I saw it, other people saw it, anybody can see it right now. Michelle, you can watch it as well. And at 1:24, Michelle said this also: Mr. Jaros apparently tried to argue to the court that we were objecting to the 50-50 custody.
Look, a lot of us as leaders in this equal parenting movement, they're beating us down, and there's some retaliation going on. There's no question in my mind. I called the Texas Attorney General's office last week, I believe it was last Thursday or Friday, and asked him, what is the standard procedure when parents agree to orders?
Our AAG corrected Mr. Jaros on the record that we were not objecting to the agreement, only to the form/language of his proposed order, because it did not properly address all the issues. So first off, this was an agreement between Mr. Jaros and Ms. Jaros. I don't understand why the Attorney General even had to be involved, but somehow the Attorney General does think that they need to be involved. But more disconcerting to me is that Michelle is now arguing based on hearsay. Evidently at the time she had not even seen the hearing, she did nothing about it, but somebody said, it's like the rumor weed. Well, I heard this through the rumor, and this is what Michell Smith is acting upon. Michelle, you should be above this. You are the campaign manager for the Attorney General of the state of Texas. And by the way, Michelle, just for your information, I support Attorney General Paxton in so many different ways. There have been people that have been against him. I've been one of the ones who've been working for him at the same time. I've seen some of the stuff that he's issued. I thought he's been helping us out in various ways. So don't just discount me and throw me out. Like at CPAC, don't tell people, well, the Attorney General will sit down and interview with you so long as Mr. Morgan is not available. I do not believe Attorney General Paxton said that. I believe that was more from you than from him. I may be wrong, but that's my opinion. And my opinion, obviously, is as good as anyone else's. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I don't know what the facts are, but I do know that Attorney General Paxton was not going to interview if I stayed around. And that's a shame, because once again, I was one of the ones that had been supporting him, even when people were against him. So regardless of what anyone may be claiming, the OAG is on the court record clarifying that we have no objection to the 50-50. But our lawyers still have a duty to ensure that a final order is legally sound, enforceable, and that it meets the court's requirements before a final version is entered. I'm wondering about this whole thing about this legal order stuff. Marriage in the state of Texas is not a legally protected entity. It is a sham institution. So why is the Attorney General actually talking about legal order when the state of Texas lies about the institution of marriage? The state of Texas refuses to protect marriage as an institution. It permits no-fault divorce, divorce on demand, for any reason, for no reason. You can make up a reason. 100% of the time, the state will side with the petitioner, and we somehow pretend that there's something legal about this, and now you want a legal order enforced? This is nonsense. Michell Smith at 1:30 says it's on the record. The truth about what happened is on the record.
I know some parents who have agreed to equal shared parenting.
Yes, it is on the record, Michelle, and it's on my video that I put up of the hearing. So I invite you once again, Michell Smith, to please look at that record, and maybe you may have some retractions to offer to what you were saying or insinuating about Mr. Jaros. You need to have the humility to say, perhaps I was wrong, Mr. Jaros, I'm sorry. At 1:43, Josh was talking about that it feels like that he was being singled out because he has spoken up against this stuff.
And usually what you do is you file it with the court and they sign off on the order. This didn't happen to me. They're singling me out.
I will tell you that for many people, that's exactly what it appeared like. But I will say this, that Michell Smith did speak a partial truth here. I don't think it was just Josh that's being singled out. I think that any so-called, quote, non-custodial parent has been singled out. But at the same time, because Josh has been a very powerful spokesperson, I am not sure, and I would tend to agree with Mr. Jaros, that he may be being singled out on this because other people have not had to go through this, and he did what he could try to make sure that he was not going to be singled out. I am not positive that he was not singled out. But regardless, Michelle may be speaking a truth on this, a partial truth at the least, because every non-custodial has been singled out for unequal and disparate treatment by the Office of the Attorney General. And Michelle, you want to defend this stuff? Tell him that the Attorney General also finds this repugnant.
So Ken, tell us a little bit about father's rights. I heard you are a very big proponent of father's rights, and I've heard some good things that you've done for the parents here in the state of Texas.
So I am a father. So I have 4 children myself. So I think father's rights and parents' rights should be equal. I mean, there should be no favoritism. Mother and father should be treated equally. And I totally believe that fathers have every right to see their children and be a part of their children's life. I think all the research indicates that fathers play an extremely important role in the upbringing of their children, and then the results of how those children turn out.
But there are people that we need to control. Blame the Democrats that are in there, because we know that a lot of them are doing it. There's a way out of this, but the way out is not to lie or to insinuate that Mr. Jaros has been less than truthful. Josh started talking about my ex-wife is saying she wants this to be over, and Michelle at 2:15 says that is not truthful, Josh.
You know, my ex told me, she said, we just want this to be over with. We want this equal parenting thing. This is what we want. We see it's benefited our kids. We're sick and tired of the state getting involved in our business, and we want them out.
Well, wait a minute. Maybe she's referring to something else. I don't know. But Michelle is on here interacting with the video, calling Josh a liar. And this is beneath her character, at least what her character should be. If she is the campaign manager for the Office of the Attorney General, her character needs to comport with the highest ethical standards. You don't call citizens a liar because they are discussing what took place in their court, in their case. And once again, Michelle, take a look for it for yourself. And then at 2:28, Michelle says that is not truthful at all.
We can't go before a judge and say this is what we want. So when you hear people say that if parents agree to an order for equal parenting, they can get it, they can't.
And now this was right after Mr. Jaros said, we just want this to be over with. Equal parenting is good for our children. This is what both he and his ex-wife said. It's equal parenting is good for our children. It has benefited our kids. In other words, having the state involved was a detriment to the kids. Having the state kicked out of their lives was a benefit to the kids when the parents had equal shared parenting. We are sick and tired of the state getting involved in our business, and we want them out, and they won't let us out. And Michell Smith says that is not truthful at all. Well, it appeared to be truthful until yesterday evening. Evidently, the Office of the Attorney General and some representatives and other people did hear about this case, and by the end of the day, the Office of the Attorney General did sign off on the order. And by the way, the order, to the best of my knowledge, not a single word was changed in the order. It was signed off completely. The issue that comes up, though, is as well as I mentioned in other videos, is Roland Brown, who was representing the Office of the Attorney General, was talking about medical insurance, dental insurance. He was talking about the child support arrearages. What you need to know is this. In our Texas Family Code, or our Texas Anti-Family Code, it says this. In section 201.107C, the presiding judges and the Title 4D agency. The Title 4D agency is the Office of the Attorney General. The Title 4D agency is the Office of the Attorney General. They shall act and are authorized to take any action necessary to maximize the amount of federal funds available under the Title 4D program. And the funds that come from the Title 4D program come from child support orders, from enforcing them and from collecting them. And making sure that, if possible, the child support orders are a little bit higher because they collect a little bit more money. This is what the Texas Anti-Family Code says. So Michelle, you are wrong about part of this stuff. You need to look at the Texas Anti-Family Code. And if the Attorney General would like to make an opinion about this, we would be glad to have him do so. There's many opinions we would love to have him give. And again, I am a supporter in most everything of Ken Paxton. When he was suing Barack Obama, I was in DC. I was going to try to go down to see him before one of the times he was in Washington and pray with him, because we were there together. I just could not make it. So I've been a supporter of Attorney General Ken Paxton, and but I do think that there are some problems that we need to address, some house cleaning areas. We need to ship-shape. We need to clean up the Office of the Attorney General, and unfortunately, because the Office of the Attorney General has 2,600 employees, many are Democrats who were hired under Attorney General Greg Abbott, we may have some nefarious behavior going on there. Clean it out. Expose it. That's what we want. And by the way, I mentioned this 5 years ago, I believe it was, and that's when we had the private hearing at the Capitol with the Attorney General, because at that point in time, Michelle, I believe it was 5 years from this month actually, maybe it was next month, 5 years from October, and at 5 or 4, I think it was 5, that you were there when the Attorney General said, Michelle, give him your card. This has been an ordeal that has not been addressed sufficiently. Again, I appreciate Attorney General Ken Paxton helping in ways that I think he's been helping, but we cannot pretend that this issue has been being addressed satisfactorily. Now, Josh Jaros said that the Texas is a state that is out of control. The Texas Office of the Attorney General is preventing my ex and I from agreeing to an equal parenting order with no child support. At 2:48, Michelle Smith says, General Paxton office has to make sure the language is correct, fit the final hearing, and you know this.
The Texas Office of Attorney General is preventing my ex and I from agreeing to an equal parenting order with no child support. This is real. We need to change these laws.
You know, I don't even know why the Office of the Attorney General is involved in this, but this is what she said, and what Josh was saying is, look, we have an agreement. My ex-wife and I have an agreement. Why is the Office of the Attorney General meddling? Why are they the interloper? Why are they stopping this from going forward? And Michelle, that's a question that you have to answer. And you do not do this by saying that Mr. Jaros was lying or being less than truthful. Mr. Jaros continued, this is a state that is bent on getting profit from child support, and they are retaliating against me for speaking out about it.
This is a state that is bent on getting profit from child support, and they're retaliating against me because I've spoken out about this issue.
That's what it looked like. Mr. Jaros, I am not saying that I disagree with you at all. The evidence appears to be that way. It may be interpreted differently, but Michelle Smith should not have just said, be honest, Josh, at 3:22, be honest, Josh. She's trying to undermine what Josh is saying by accusing him of being dishonest and disreputable. Once again, Michelle Smith, this is beneath you. My advice to you, once again, is to listen before spouting off a foolish answer. It is stupid and embarrassing to give an answer before you listen. If you had a little bit better listening skills and tried to understand what Mr. Jaros was saying, perhaps you would not have said some of these things that you did. 3:55, the language has to be clear. And then at 4:13, Michelle Smith says this, I'm told the judge ordered the parties' attorneys to work out the exact language and then bring it back to the court for a final entry. We expect the language to get worked out. That is actually pretty typical work, and the judge will reset for a final order. So first off, I'll say this, is that Michelle Smith once again is commenting upon something that she heard. Perhaps, Michelle, if you listened, you watched the video first, rather than commenting on a secondhand report, perhaps then you might be a little bit better informed and not be trying to malign somebody instead of knowing what you were talking about. Michelle Smith, what you should be doing is saying, Mr. Jaros, we understand you have a lot of concerns. Let me look into this. Let me see what the truth is. Let me observe what took place in the hearing. Let me read the order. And then I can comment intelligently instead of calling you a liar and less than truthful. So this again is my my admonition to Michelle Smith. I work with the man day in and day out. I happen to manage his calendar, so I really do know exactly what he's doing at all times. Yesterday he was in a meeting trying to protect your freedom, be it from big tech, human trafficking, voter integrity, and the border. Again, I am 100% with the Attorney General on these issues. That's why I've supported him, because Attorney General Ken Paxton has done more to help protect the state of Texas and its liberty issues and the nation, I believe, than almost any other person in the country. When the Office of the Attorney General of the state of Texas files a lawsuit against the federal government, it has weight, and other states join. I am 100% for that. What we are talking about is this one issue. And Michelle, you've got to be honest, and you got to listen to what the people are saying. If you want to see Mr. Paxton, General Paxton, re-elected, you've got to pay attention to this issue. There are many people, parents, grandparents, extended family, children, who are chafing under the unjust, ungodly, immoral laws that the Office of the Attorney General evidently is enforcing. And I'm not even sure that they're laws. But remember that in the Texas Family Code, it says this: the presiding judges and the Title 4D agency shall act and are authorized to take any action necessary to maximize the amount of federal funds available under the Title 4D program. They can do anything, and I'm not even sure that it has to be legal, because from what I can see, the things the actions that are being taken are violating the Constitution. We want to see the Attorney General succeed and be the best Attorney General in the state of Texas. But he cannot be the best Attorney General for the parents and the children and the grandparents and the extended family of the state of Texas if this agency is out of control and acting in such a rogue and unconstitutional manner. So, Michell Smith, once again, my advice for you is this. Listen before you give an answer. Proverbs 18:13 says, spouting off before listening to the facts is both shameful and foolish. Proverbs 18:13 in another version says, it is stupid and embarrassing to give an answer before you listen. Michelle, I know there's a lot more in you. I know what you're trying to do. I know that sometimes you have to provide cover for the Office of the Attorney General. I understand that's your job, but you cannot lose your integrity. You've got to act in such a manner that engenders confidence in you and in the office. And one of the first things you could do is not accuse a person of lying when he is pouring out his heart to people about what's taking place. Michelle, you could be an ally in this. The Office of the Attorney General could be an ally in this. Personally, I believe he has been an ally in various ways that he could be. And that's what I think you should start doing, is capitalizing on these. And then also, if you have so much power down there, get others to carry some water for you. Because I do agree that some of this stuff has to come through the legislature. Help them change the laws. Help them change the ungodly, immoral, unjust, evil, wicked, exploitive, plundering Texas anti-family code. You do that, Michelle, and we would have you be the Attorney General, for crying out loud. But you can't act in such a manner as you did today in this rant, or as you did yesterday in what appears to be a rant against Josh. Sorry, Michelle, but we need to call you out as well. I hope, Michelle, that you dig deep, that you look at what you've done in some of these instances and say, you know what, I stand to be corrected. We would love to have you as an ally. And like Josh and myself, Josh and I have spoken, we've had our difficult times, but we're good. And Michelle, we also could be good, but you can't defend injustice. Listen before giving an answer, become an ally, and don't defend unjust actions, even as the Attorney General does not defend injustices exerted by the federal government against the state of Texas and against people of the United States of America. And that's it. Thanks so much.
So I heard you've been a big warrior on parental rights here in the state of Texas as to giving the power back to the parents and taking the government back out where they've been trying to step in. Could you tell us a little bit about that process and what's going on?
Absolutely. Nobody knows better how to raise their children than the parents. Unless there's some type of abuse or some type of crime going on or something very bad going on with the parent and the child relationship, it really is up to the parents. They have the greatest incentive to take care of those kids. And they should be given that this is their responsibility. It's their God-given responsibility. It's not the government's job to step in and run the lives of these parents or these children unless there's been some type of abuse or some type of bad situation that needs to be addressed.
I heard you've also been against gag orders. I've heard about these unconstitutional gag orders that are going on in the state of Texas telling parents they can't speak up.
I think that's crazy. I think it's unconstitutional. It's wrong for parents to be stopped from talking, exercising their free speech rights, unless there's some extraordinary circumstance that would harm the child. I don't see any benefit to the family relationship shutting parents out.